Thanks, Emma. Well, a lot of employees find themselves looking to job share to create a work-life balance. But what if the job you're looking for is to be a politician?
Well, Bronwen Bock and Lucy Bradlow want to find out. They're both hoping to be the federal members for Higgins in Melbourne's inner southeast, and they join us now in the studio. Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Bridget.
Lucy, I want to start with you. Why? Why are you doing this?
Well, I've spent most of my career working in and around politics, and what I've seen is it's become a 24/7 role, and that's not a role that suits many people. And I also think it's not a role that fosters a lot of collaboration and a lot of kindness. And I also spent the last 2 years working at the Workplace Gender Equality Agency, and we're seeing a lot more workplaces looking to rearrange roles, reimagine roles so that they can bring in a whole new crop of talent. And job sharing is one way of doing that. And I really believe that being a politician is a public service. It's something that you can do for your community to represent them better and bring their ideas at all levels of government. And this is one way we can do that.
Bronwen, I think a lot of mums will be quite interested in hearing about this model because, it piques my interest because when you've got young kids, you often have to work part-time for various reasons. What do you think this really reveals about our political culture when we see a lot of women at the federal level drop out early because it's just too hard. It's too hard flying to Canberra back and forth, and the hours as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Bridget. Every time I see a politician resign for family reasons, I despair. Not because I don't get it. As a mum of 3 small children, I do, but because I still want them there representing me. I want Parliament to be representative of the people it represents, and I would not do this on my own. Without Lucy, as a job share, I wouldn't be willing to do it. I've got 3 small children and I want to spend time with them as well as contributing to my community and serving my community. They're 2 really big things I'm keen to do, and I know that Lucy and I have a lot to give to our community. We want to make Parliament more inclusive and invite in a crop of people who currently aren't able to join.
Okay, let's go to the hypotheticals now. There are some hurdles you need to jump before you get to election day, but assuming you win at the seat of Higgins, currently held by a Labor MP, how would this job sharing arrangement work, Lucy?
Yeah, so we propose working 1 week on, 1 week off with a handover at the end of each week. But for all intents and purposes, it's actually 1 member for Higgins. When you stand up in the House of Representatives and ask for a vote, you don't call on the person's name, you call on the representative for Higgins. So we'll have 1 phone, 1 computer, 1 email. That'll bring a level of accountability to the role, which is sometimes lacking because we'll always be watching each other's emails and phone calls. And we intend to share everything.
And dare I ask, Bronwen, if there's a disagreement between you both, say in a conscience issue, how the chips fall there?
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing about doing this as a job share is we will be able to, as you would in any corporate environment, discuss and debate and work through things together until we came to an agreement on something. And we bring 2 sets of skills, 2 sets of experience together to come to a better decision that is in the best interest of the people of Higgins. And it's not dissimilar from how it works in major parties where they come together and they work out how they're going to vote, and that's how they do it with multiple people involved in that decision.
Can't help but notice the colour of your badges there. Would you describe yourselves as teals? Are you part of that movement? And how have you voted in the past?
Being a teal is 2 things. It means you're a community-backed independent and you have funding from Climate 200. We've had informal chats with Climate 200 to explain what we're doing, but most importantly, as community-backed independents, we can assess funding opportunities as they come on a case-by-case basis, and we're bringing this back to community. We've spent the last 9 months having kitchen table conversations with people from around Higgins. We want to listen to their views and represent them in Parliament.
Lucy, let's go to some of the hurdles. The Electoral Act, for instance, many constitutional lawyers say that needs to be changed. If you press ahead, you'll have both names on the nomination form, the electoral form. The AEC might have views about it as well. So this could be a pipe dream, really. Do you concede that?
Yeah, I think that we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have really strong constitutional legal advice. We're giving up a year of our lives. This is no small thing that we are doing, and we've been preparing this for 1.5 years. So we're represented by one of the foremost constitutional lawyers in the country, Kim Rubenstein, and her view is that there are no legal barriers in the Constitution or the Electoral Act for us to do this. Obviously, there are other constitutional lawyers with different opinions, but that's the purpose of constitutional law. So we intend, if the government doesn't change the AEC nomination form so that we can do this, we intend to take it to the High Court, and then it'll be their job to decide whether we can press ahead.
What issues do you disagree with when it comes to facing up to the current sitting member, who's a Labor member, Dr Michelle Ananda Rajah, who actually is quite a pioneering member of Parliament? She's a woman of colour, she's a medical professional, she's spoken a lot about climate change and the issues that are passionate for her. What policy differences would you say you have with Labor?
I think what we'll focus on is what we stand for. We stand for real action on climate change. We stand for sustainable measures that help people with the cost of living crisis, and we stand for integrity in Parliament. It's a really important one for us. We don't want Parliament to be accountable to anyone other than the people they represent, not to vested interests.
Like it is in other workplaces. What do you think of their proposed move?
Michael, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for the way in which our democracy was established. The idea that you have representative democracy is to vest that in an individual. That is an age-old proposition. It requires an individual to exercise their judgment, but also to be able to do so consistently. And I think if you think about how many of the smaller parties and others have operated over recent years, we often get, and the most recent example was Jackie Lambie and Tammy Tyrrell, two members supposedly of the same party elected, but then they go their separate ways during the course of the Parliament because they have legitimate disagreements in how they work together or the issues they stand for. It just doesn't work to have a Member of Parliament split in two as two different individuals and then expect they're going to be able to operate in consensus and deliver the type of consistency that's required.
But shouldn't Parliament, a representative, the symbol of our representative democracy, Simon Birmingham, evolve with changing times? Let's not forget women were at one stage banned from running for office. And that was completely unacceptable. And as the person from the state that was the first in the world to give women the right to run for office and the second in the world to give women the vote, I'm very proud of those types of reforms. But I think this is a very different type of proposition that does go to the fundamental of how that representative democracy, single-member electorates in particular, were established. You can have multi-member electorate systems, and we have that in the way the Senate works, and that is a very clear model as to how a multi-member system can operate. And in Australia, we get that in our upper house, but in our lower house, it is premised on the basis that you have a single member in an electorate, and that single member is expected to exercise their judgment, but to apply a continuity that is just impossible if you had a different person turning up for work 1 week to the next. OK, we'll see how it plays out. Simon Birmingham, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. My pleasure.